right, Leadheads, welcome back to Talking Lead. I'm your host, Lefthand, and we are going to have a really big show for you this week. I've got several guests lined up, and I've got two sitting and waiting as we speak. But first, I'd like to go ahead and thank my guest from last week, Matt Powell with Primac, and thank him for putting up that trivia question. Quick mention on that, it's the Tactical Movement Transition with Pistol or Rifle video part 1 that you got to go watch, and you need to tell us how many shots were fired. We're not giving away that trivia prize until that video hits 900 views. So I think he's close to 500 right now, so you guys got a way to go before we give that away. So we're not giving that away this week, obviously. I want to thank Dipstick Custom Coatings. Their website is at dipstick123. Remember to use that discount code to get 10% off all their products, except for the big old dipping tubs that they sell. Everything else you get 10% off on, and you use the code LEADHEAD. And we want to thank Matt for also offering a discount code at Primac. You can go there and get 15% off anything in their store. Uh-oh. Somebody's calling me there. Little feedback.
Three respond. 239.
Okay.
There's a hint as to who one of our guests is.
There's a 76-year-old female there. She's fallen, unsure of injuries.
I've fallen and I can't get up. Okay, mute yours for a second. Let me get through this. So go to Primac. Go to their website, their store, get 15% off, and use the code LEADHEAD, and that's all caps, LEADHEAD, all one word, same as you're going to be using for Dipstick Customs, Dip123. And we want to welcome a new sponsor that we've got, Nordic Components. Nordic Components is going to be sponsoring not only Talking Lead, but they are also sponsoring Casey Griggs, our 3-gunner. So big thanks and welcome to Nordic Components. And guess what? They're also offering a discount code to all you lead heads. And you can go to their website and you get 7% off, and you use the code, guess what? Leadhead. That's right. All caps, all one word, Leadhead. We're going to actually have more with those guys in some upcoming episodes. So go ahead and show them the Leadhead love. Go to their Facebook page and welcome them to Talking Lead. So let's go ahead and introduce our guest this week. As you could tell from one, you heard the emergency calls back there. Casey Griggs is going to be joining us. Casey, welcome.
Hello.
And our super special guest this week is Tim with Tactical Walls.
Emphasis on special.
No, you're super special because you're going to be with me the whole show. Casey's probably not going to be with us the whole show. He's on duty right now, so I'm sure he'll get called out on some kind of an emergency. Sound like some lady fell and couldn't get up there for a minute. Is that something you got to respond to, Casey?
No, that's not us. That's a whole other station, so that's a good thing.
Very good. So Tim with Tactical Walls, he's going to be with us the whole show, and we're actually hoping to have another special guest join us later on in the show. Don't want to get your hopes up and him not be able to join us. So, guys, welcome in.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate you joining us.
Glad you were able to come all the way out here where we are. We're pretty remote, so
well, you are remote.
Make it out here is special.
Casey, it reminds me of that cave that you and I got to shoot in this past weekend.
Yeah, I know, right? It's extremely dark back there, so I mean it's kind of like
super dark.
Or some thermal or something going on back there.
What are you getting ready for Halloween, Tim?
No, I'm just spending a little time in the mobile office. It's quiet. Stretch out. Take my boots off.
There you go. Peace and quiet, right? From the kids and the dogs.
Gotta be quiet. Gotta be quiet for these things.
Casey, we had a big event this past weekend. Let's go ahead and talk about the Trijicon Challenge that you were a participant in. I didn't participate, but I was there supporting and trying to get some video. I've got a lot of video. I just haven't had the time to put anything together, but that's my goal. I'll probably have something out before this hits air. Tell us about the Trijicon Challenge.
It was definitely a shock to the system, especially if you shoot just 3-gun particularly. It's definitely, you have to be well-rounded in everything. So I definitely know what to practice for next year if I compete in it again, that's for sure.
Well, you really don't, because it's my understanding that they change it up every year. It's something different every year. So
They do, but if you, right, I know, you can hear the in the background. Wonderful.
That's the photograph you want to show you on the scene. I've already done the command.
Okay, here we go. Anyway, but no, I mean, you can bet that a lot of the platforms will still be there, though, like some of the skeet and probably possibly 22 pistols, Bianchi style shooting again, or any of that.
yeah,
I mean, there's only so many different platforms they can do, but when you
I don't know, man. I think it's limitless.
hey, if they want to throw a bolt action in there with long range, I'm all about it.
I think
I heard they had a wrist rocket with a whisker biscuit.
I think that was one of the bonus stages, but they might. No, what's preventing them from throwing muskets in, throwing lever actions in? What's to prevent them from doing that?
Hey, that's fine. If they throw lever actions in, I'm used to that. Remember, I grew up in the country, so
You grew up in the Wild West.
I can do that, and I can do black powder, so that's okay.
Yeah. So I didn't get there until the second day, and they actually tried to get you guys ahead of schedule. It was supposed to be a 3-day shoot, and they got most everybody done in 2 days. So they accelerated you through the first day, and I missed a lot of that. Kind of walk us through the different stages and what all you had to do during this challenge.
Well, the first day, I don't know if any shooters are familiar with the Bianchi style shooting. A lot of pistol, 9mm, 22. They also had a 45 stage pistol set up. Of course, they changed it to 2 hands instead of 1. But with the 22 pistol, you had to stick 1 hand in your pocket, or on your hip, whatever you had to do. Kind of similar to the Bianchi Cup style shooting.
Could you not grab your nutsack?
Well, I mean, hey, I guess if you wanted to, that's always a possibility.
Put a little flair to it,
Then they had one stage with those that I was pretty familiar with that I enjoy a lot, and that's, of course, they had a 22 rifle for that stage instead of a 223, but it did more military style shooting. Actually, you did standing, sitting, and let's say standing, kneeling, and sitting is what you had to do in those 3 positions.
Yeah.
And
no supine.
No prone. So I mean that works on that. So, but it was pretty fun.
Now another thing that they did with this, obviously it's Trijicon, and Trijicon is a
optic provider.
Optic for company. They had optics on just about all the guns, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, every weapon they had there had a red dot or a scope of some sort that they make on it. There wasn't any ACOGs this time, but there was a lot of their AccuPower and AccuPoint style scopes, a lot of their reflex red dot sights that you put on their pistols and everything. Those were there. They had the new MRO, in which I have one of, and I absolutely love that sight. It is dead on. I can give them complete props for that. So, I mean, they're nipping at the heels of Aimpoint with that one. So, I mean, that's if they don't surpass Aimpoint with that optic, I'll be surprised.
Yeah. So the first day was a lot of 22s, a lot of pistols, a lot of rifles. You didn't do any shotgun the first day, did you?
No, not on the first day. The first day we kind of done just more the Bianchi Cup style shooting. The second day we got in a lot of shotguns.
Yeah, and that's the day that I showed up, and I was a little bummed because I got plenty of footage of you shooting shotguns from the Brown Hills competition. So I was excited to hear that wasn't the only thing that you'd be shooting that day. But you did the first 3 stages. You did like an over/under stage, and then you went and shot some Benellis on the next 2 stages, wasn't it?
Yeah, the next 3 stages.
Okay, next 3 stages you had Benelli shotguns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Weatherby with the over/under was the first one, which
that was a sweet gun.
It was, and it felt good. It shot good, and unfortunately, I'm not used to Benellis, so that kind of bummed me out on those stages. But
just the atmosphere up there at Rock Castle. I don't think I mentioned where it was. The Trijicon Challenge was at Rock Castle this year, up in Kentucky. It's Park City, Kentucky. Nick Noble is the CEO of Rock Castle up there, and he put on a fabulous event. I got to give Nick some kudos for getting all that organized and putting it together. And I know probably Trijicon had some of that to do. Just the layout up there. If you guys have never been to Rock Castle, you need to go up there and visit. It's my understanding that it's open all the time, right? So people could go up there. You might need to schedule some time to shoot some of their courses, but they've got lodging facilities up there. They've got a bed. It's a breakfast and lunch and dinner that they serve every day. There's a golf course at this place. Hiking. There's these phenomenal caves, and we're going to talk about one of the bonus stages where Casey and I both went and actually got to shoot in this cave. But go check out Rock Castle Shooting Center up in Park City, Kentucky, whenever you get a chance. It's absolutely gorgeous up there. I had to say that because I mean I've been up there for 4 events now, and I mean every time I see something different, I'm differently impressed with it over something. I mean there's always something new.
Mm-hmm. Nick does a really good job up there coordinating everything, and I think his brother assists him also in some of that. So
yeah, it's a family-run kind of deal. His dad and his brother and everybody.
Yeah, and their staff does a really good job at doing a lot of that stuff. And if there's any other places that would like to start a place similar to Rock Castle, they need to really go up there and get a grasp of what they do, and the amount of time and effort that goes into doing that.
Yeah,
they put a lot into it, and it means a lot to them. So that helps a lot.
And Nick has been on the show before, and we're going to have him on again in an upcoming episode. They've got a 2A, a Second Amendment community that they're developing up there, and it sounded pretty freaking awesome to me. So we're going to get him on and talk about the homes that they're building up there and what all they're developing in this community itself. So stay tuned for that. So Tactical Walls didn't make it. We missed you guys at the Trijicon Challenge.
Yeah, we don't make it a lot of places.
You don't make it to a lot of places?
No, we don't. We stay pretty busy with the stuff that we're doing, and to be frank, we don't even know about a lot of these different events just because we're a small team of people and just grinding away in our own little dark caves here.
Will allow us to fill you in from now on.
I'll tell you what, I wished you guys were there because you really missed a good opportunity for sales because they were featuring a lot of concealed carry style equipment there.
Yeah.
And, of course, when you get into concealed carry, people get into talking about concealment in their homes also.
Right.
You guys specialize in the stuff that you make. So
our last 2 events that we attended, we had a display set up, and you guys were in Georgia at the IV-88 shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody really enjoyed that. That display was really good for us. It was on the firing line, and it gave everyone a chance to lay hands on our product and kind of open them, and sort of did a little 2-gun competition for everybody. And
that was really fun.
We got some great feedback from that. We're also sponsoring a 3-gun stage for Smith & Wesson. It's the backup gun stage in November here up in Massachusetts, I think.
Okay. That would be cool. So you guys could have set something like that up at this Trijicon because they had these bonus stages where the competitors, if they wanted to, they could go compete, but each one had a different prize allotted to it, and it was basically based on whatever company was sponsoring it, really.
Yeah, that's exactly the kind of stuff we need to be getting into.
Yeah,
again,
that would have been a perfect setup for you guys.
You can count on there being a wrist rocket with a whisker biscuit at that stage.
I'm curious, what is that?
It's just those little crazy powerful slingshots that people put in their little bug out bags. The outdoor survivalists like to carry because they're real small. It's the kind of slingshot you got when you were in junior high and you could shoot ball bearings like 100 million miles an hour.
Okay, all right.
But then the whisker biscuit is a archery thing for holding it's like a donut.
Yeah.
And then in the center of it, it's got a bunch of bristles, and then it holds your put your arrow in it and it steadies it, and that's a great graphic for the camera. People they'll take the whisker biscuit and they'll install that on the slingshot, and then they're able to shoot a compound bow arrow through a slingshot.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But, I grew up with a completely different definition of a whisker biscuit.
Well, you're from Tennessee, so.
Yeah. Very cool. No, that would be awesome. That's what I've been harping on these 3-gun competitions is that they need to start implementing. And I know they're not guns, but they're forms of guns, bow and arrows, And slingshot would add a whole other dimension too. I didn't even thought about it, adding a slingshot stage to a three-gun competition. That would be awesome.
You know, I'm super astonished that Trijicon did not do, and I am surprised they didn't have a compound bow stage.
Yeah, because they make bow sights as well.
They make one heck of a bow sight that me and my brother-in-law both would like to have on a bow, but boy, that's a pretty little price tag they got on it too.
Well, hell, drop it in their suggestion box.
Yeah, that could be a match for next year.
It could. That could be one of their bonus stages.
Yeah, I'm
definitely. Yeah, definitely. But so you had 2 days of shooting up there. It was it Thursday, Friday, or Friday, Saturday? Thursday, Friday, wasn't it?
Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday we just had kind of all day to do whatever we wanted to.
Right, and we had the opportunity to go shoot some videos. Nick was kind enough to give us access to their cowboy town, where they do cowboy action shooting up there also. So we had the whole town to ourselves, and we got to shoot some video with the Troy Conqueror.
Mm-hmm.
And Casey just got his Smith & Wesson back from DP Customs and Weapon Works, who did his Cerakote. And that thing was, I mean, it was just like shooting, I don't know, I couldn't compare it to anything. It was smooth, man. It was really nice. They did a great job. And with your Apex trigger on there?
Oh, man, those red flatties from Apex, I tell you what, those 4-set triggers are just, that is the bomb for a Smith & Wesson. I don't care what anybody says. I'll put any trigger up against it. I like it.
Yeah, but they did an excellent job with the slide, cutting out the lightning cuts. Is that what they call them, lightning cuts? And then the serrations they did on it, right?
Yeah, they have all kinds of different types of packages, I'm sure, that you could do, or anything that you might want they can do. But they are super, super good guys to deal with. One's a prior Marine, prior military guy, and one is a volunteer fireman.
Yeah.
And of course, they both serve in their own ways. So I mean, that's but they do great work.
Yeah, yeah. So we posted some pictures of that, but we did some videos, and we'll be posting those videos up soon. You guys know how I am with videos. I say I'm going to post it, so 6 months from now it'll be up. I've got tons and tons of videos that I haven't got to, Tim.
And you find them.
Huh?
And you find videos. I like when I find videos that I did a long time ago.
Oh, Lord.
I forgot I shot that.
You're like, holy crap.
Yeah.
But I've got one I'm going to do. I haven't done it yet. I'd like to do it with you guys, but you guys had sent me, Tactical Walls sent me one of their clocks. Does this have a particular name? Do you call this something?
Tactical wall clock, I think.
Okay, tactical wall clock, and it's got the Talking Lead logo on the face of it, which is just awesome. And I can't have anything that's just stock. I have to go and customize it somehow, some way. So I went, and on the hands they were black. I put some of that glow in the dark paint stuff on them so that they'll glow in the dark. Well, so I added a whole other level of badassery-ness to it.
You can go now too and buy your own hands, because you can go find other styles of hands if you don't like the old Marty McFly clock tower hands you got there.
I love it.
I love those.
So
I love the Back to the Future clock hands on there. They're big, they're easy to see, and they took the glow-in-the-dark paint like a champ.
You saw we didn't put any numbers on that clock for you, because we know you can't read them anyway.
Well, this is a fact. I couldn't tell time until I was in high school on a clock like this, because I always grew up with digital clocks and watches and stuff. I just never learned how to read one of them.
The old analogs.
Yeah, the old analogs. But yeah, so I'm going to do a little something video with this clock. Coming soon.
All
right, so during the Trijicon Challenge, there were these bonus stages that contestants could go, and there was additional prizes they could win. One of them was, what was the thermal? There was a thermal stage, and we went to that, and it was kind of too early in the day because the targets were blending in with the hillside.
Yeah, I think the company had was it RSR Steel? Is that the name of the steel company that had all the stuff out there and had thermal optic on it, on the rifle?
Well, no, it was the thermal optic company that was there doing it, because they were giving away one of their $6,000 thermal optics to the person who got the best time.
And I think it was the same company that done the cave, though, wasn't it?
No, I think it was a different company. Those are two separate companies, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you tried that one. I didn't try that one because As we got up there was a big long line of people coming, and people that paid for the competition. I didn't want to get in their way, so I just skipped that one. But you did pretty decent on it, considering.
Yeah, considering that it was at the height of the day where the heat was the highest, so the targets were starting to blend in the background, and it was kind of hard to start to see them through the thermal. But I was pretty impressed with it. So I can imagine where it would be one wicked sight at night. If you had that.
On that stage, what you had to do is you had to shoot offhand the first 2 targets, right?
Yeah, you had to shoot standing basically for the first 2 targets, and then you could go prone or do whatever you wanted to.
Okay, so first 2 targets you had to do standing, and then the last 2 you could do whatever you want to. And you hit the first one, had a little trouble on the second one, and you hit the third one, and then did you run out of bullets? Is that what happened? Because you only got 5. I think you got 5 shots. Is that how many you got? 4 targets, 5 shots, right?
Yeah, because like I said, once you got really to the second target, it was starting to blend like crazy.
Or no, actually it was 7 shots. You got 7 shots. There were 4 targets, 7 shots.
Yeah, that might be right. It's all running together, but yeah.
Yeah, but everybody there that shot in your group, I don't think one person, Brandon, completed it. I think he hit all targets.
Brandon got them all or not?
I think it was Brandon. Yeah, one of the guys in that group did. But anyway, were there 2 other bonus stages?
Yeah, they had one that was a kind of a concealed carry draw out of a satchel bag.
Yeah.
That was, I think Vertex was putting that on, and I think the guy went out to shoot or something and never come back. So.
Yeah, so they said he partied a little too hard the night before, but we didn't get to shoot that because dude didn't show up, which
that's very rare in this industry.
Yeah.
that people party too much the night before the event or show.
Yeah, or after. But then we went to, which has got to be the coolest stage that I've ever seen in any kind of 3-gun history competition, is a cave. So we go on, there's this cave shoot. So you go in this cave, and you're using, I can't remember the name of the company.
I got one of their cards. I remember of it. He gave you a couple of cards, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. But I don't have them handy.
Running together.
They failed.
But I did a video on it, and you'll see it on the video. But it was freaking phenomenal. So you get to go in the cave, and it's pitch black dark, and they've got these targets set out through the passageway, and you get to wear, what kind of helmets do we have on?
They were just some basic, the lightweight ballistic.
But they didn't have any IR or anything on the helmets itself. We just put that on to protect our freaking.
Right. Well, I mean, I call them fast helmets. I don't know what they call them, but you see a lot of entry teams using them and stuff like that. They're pretty fast entry teams, not just your basic slot, But
we were using, it was IR sights, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. IR sights.
And then the targets were lit up, and you could only see them. You could only see them. Yeah, you could only see them through the scope. So you had to go through, navigate through the cave, and look through. Bring scope down, navigate, bring it up, try to find the targets. And they were using some kind of simunition. It was non-toxic squids. Is that what you call them?
Squibs is what I call them. They're basically little paintballs, and it's like a little CO2 style cartridge that once the primer is activated, basically that's all that it does. The primer just activates it and shoots that little paintball out, and it takes this type of bolt and everything inside the weapon to shoot that.
Yeah, but it's just a conversion. So it's a AR-15 that we're shooting, and they've converted it with the CO2 stuff. So we go through, and I don't remember how many targets. I think there were 8 targets.
8 targets, I believe.
And you had to shoot each one 2 times in the little circle area.
In the A zone, yeah.
Yeah, in the A zone. And then they would time you, and you get points based on your time and your shots on target. But that was just phenomenal, man. I loved doing that. I wanted to do it again.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. They had you just kind of, you let in by glow sticks, basically. And once you get down there, they turn every light off. It's pitch black. Let your eyes adjust. And then they give you the optic and tell you to go.
Yeah, and they're behind you just kind of making sure, because there were some spots where there were some low spots and there were some dips, and they would warn you when you were coming up on those. But, man, I loved that. And then the freaking tree huggers showed up.
Yeah,
so,
not really a nice way to put this, but other than hippies.
yeah, so some activists, some environmental activists, just came out of nowhere. Everybody thought they were with the competition. Of course, they looked out of place to begin with, but they get down there and they go, "Oh, what's going on, guys? What are you doing?" And we're like, "Well, this is one of the bonus stages. We're down here in the cave and shooting." And then all of a sudden, their panties got in a wad. They're like, "You're shooting guns in there with the bats?" And they're like, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
They're like, "Who are you? Who are you with? Why are you here?"
Yeah,
But-
they said all they wanted to do was go look at the entrance of the cave.
Yeah, they're like, "Well, we just want to go down here and look at the entrance of the cave." So the guy who was running the stage, like, okay. So he led them down there, and they got down there, and apparently they were making a big stink about them shooting the guns in the cave. So the dude took them in there and explained to them and showed them what they were doing, and actually invited them to go through and shoot. I think one of them wanted to do it, and the other guy had to drag her out, so she wouldn't. So she wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
Go to the dark side.
Yeah.
yeah, right. Well, they should have let her, I guess. But either way, they showed and made a point though. The stuff is non-toxic and it's not going to damage any part of the historic part of the cave. But either way, it's private property.
It is. It was, and they didn't have a leg to stand on really. But no animals or anything was in danger of being hurt during that.
No, not at all.
No activists.
Except your noggin when you hit it up on one of the cave
Stalactites.
walls. Yeah, stalactites, stalagmites, whatever those may be. But that
Tights
was
come from the ceiling.
it was a great event. So if you guys get an opportunity to go up to Rock Castle, go check it out. And Trijicon's thinking about having it again there next year or maybe the year after that. I think they might already be committed for next year.
Yeah, that's something they announced at the award banquet about the possibility of it, because they got up there. The owner of Trijicon, I think, was there and said, "How would you like to have it again?" And then, of course, everybody just piped up real quick and started cheering and everything else. And
Cool.
So
Now,
I think
how did you fare in the competition?
I'm middle of the road. I didn't do bad, but I didn't do great either. Because I mean,
You kind of sucked it up. I mean, let's be honest. You kind of sucked it up on the Benellis, on the shotgun stages.
well, I found out, after talking to a lot of people, those particular style Benellis, like I said, I'm not used to shooting those. I'm used to shooting Mossbergs, and but those things, I found out those particular shotguns, you had to hold it right on the skeet on a couple of those stages to even hit it.
Yeah. Well, and that's what a lot of people had to find out as they were shooting, because that was the cool thing about this competition is nobody was using their own guns. These were all guns that were provided by, sighted in by, ammunition provided by Trijicon. So the shooters just show up and they don't really know what's going to happen.
No.
So that's what I thought was cool about it. It kind of puts everybody on a level playing field. Now, if you've had a lot of experience skeet shooting, you probably did well on that stage.
Yeah, a lot of those guys, I didn't feel too bad though, because even the pros were struggling with some of that stuff. So I mean, that's that's a pretty good accomplishment if you hear they're struggling.
But there was 190 people in that competition, and you finishing middle of the road was that's very admirable, man. You did a great job.
It was, I think, 93rd is what I turned out to be. So.
And if it wasn't for the shotgun state, now the double barrel, I mean the over under, you tore it up, man. You did great on it.
That over under Weatherby, man, I picked it up real quick for some reason. It just it felt good, and of course that's what everybody tells me too. Don't take it hard on some of those shotguns, because you have to find a shotgun. It's like anything, even a rifle. If it fits you, it fits you.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's kind of one of those. But at least to me, it didn't feel good. It felt like I was fighting it more than I was shooting it.
Yeah. Well, if you're shooting something you're not used to, that's kind of what you get. You just need more practice with them if you want to, but that's up to you.
And again, that wasn't one of their 3-gun Benellis either. So I've never shot the 3-gun Benelli from Terran Tactical, so I don't know what it feels like.
Yeah.
It's probably
so
light.
You got any competitions coming up?
Yeah, actually I got one coming up Sunday that I'm gonna go compete in Manchester. So
this Sunday?
Well, it kind of got popped on me last night late, so I didn't
think
anything of it.
Are you going to any Halloween parties, guys?
No.
Nah.
Nah.
All right, so if you were to go to a Halloween party, what would you go as? Tim.
Who, me? Whew.
And you can't say Rob Boss.
No, I wouldn't go as Rob Boss.
And for you guys who don't know, that picture that I posted of the cameo with Bob Ross shooting the AR, or they call him Bob Ross, I guess, so you don't get sued.
We created a character named Rob Boss.
Rob Boss. That was Tim. That was Tim that had the big afro on and the big painting palette as he's mowing down targets with the AR, full auto AR. That was cool. There it is, the famous color palette.
It recently broke on me.
All right, so I've got a freaking costume party that I got to go to with Pepper, and I don't have a costume. What should I go as?
Mm.
Man, you guys are no fucking help. Come on.
Yeah.
I thought Tim would be just rattling all kinds of stuff.
Well, I got all sorts of ideas. If you could, you got a blonde wig.
I could probably get one.
Get a blonde-haired wig and just lay down in the middle of the floor. Don't move, and when people ask you who you are, you can just tell them you're Bill Cosby's date.
Bill Cosby's date. Okay.
Or if you do move, you can tell them you're Caitlyn Jenner. I mean,
yeah.
You could play that one wig. You're two characters right there. Boom.
I could go two ways with it.
You get a drumstick. You're Garth from Wayne's World
with the blonde wig. Awesome. Versatility. I'm liking this, man. I'm liking this.
One wig, you bang for your buck.
I could go to like 3 different costume parties that same night and never change my costume and be 3 different characters.
You could go as a Tombstone. When people ask whose Tombstone you are, you tell them you're Glenn from The Walking Dead.
Now, that's not been verified.
I know, it's not. He's not dead.
Everybody's speculating that I don't see how they can not kill him after doing that to people. I mean, they can't do that to their audience. You know he's dead. He's gonna die.
He wasn't on the what's the show after show, the Talking Dead? The
Talking Dead. He was not on their tribute of people that were killed that episode.
Yeah, and he doesn't. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
that doesn't mean jack.
I don't know. I don't follow it, so I'm not really qualified to say or even be speaking on it.
I know in the comic books that he got killed, but it was in no way like that. He got like a baseball bat, his head bashed in with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
With supposedly a character that they're getting ready to introduce, so
he should still be there if they're going to stay true to the book.
I think what they're going to do is they're going to not let him die that way, but then they're going to bring him back and then they're going to kill him again.
Sure.
They're going to double kill him. That's just my hypothesis. Casey, you don't watch The Walking Dead at all, do you?
No.
Yeah, you don't know what the hell we're talking about.
He's got a life. He's got a life.
Hey, listen, Casey, I know you got to go, man. Appreciate you being on, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Definitely. And I definitely want to buy one of those shelves, those concealment shelves that you have.
Yeah, get with us. We'll hook you up.
Hey, I could hydro dip it for you.
You can get it hydro dipped. He'll paint you a nice little picture in glow in the dark paint.
There you go. You could what's that guy? Bob Ross it?
We could Rob Boss that thing.
Rob Boss it. Hell yeah.
There you go. Paint some trees on it. Happy trees. Yeah. Hey, speaking of which, what video was that I seen? There was some new video that I just seen on Facebook.
Of what?
Yeah.
The Rob Boss on the back of a Harley.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I hadn't seen that yet.
There's we've got 3 parts coming out for that video, and that was part 1 of 3, and then we're gonna have a part 2 of 3 and a part 3 of 3. But it's that all happened real fast, last minute, as we were leaving for Georgia. I decided, why not take this? I had this prop wig and this palette left over from the other video that we'd made a couple months ago, and I decided, why not take this character with us down to the 88 shoot? So that's what we did. Last minute, we just threw it all in the van and off we went.
Brilliant.
So
it was definitely.
So then the video that you just saw was the part 1 is his interview, where I'm interviewing him about his journey from Alaska to Florida.
Cool.
To go to the various gun shoots, and he stops in Georgia. So it's just a build-up progression. So part 1 is some of his interview for his travels. Part 2 will be his time in Georgia. Part 3 will probably be his time in Florida, and maybe just some more travels and stuff. I don't know. We really don't know.
All right. Before I jump off, though, I'm just going to say one thing. Make sure you check out Troy Industries. Check out their Troy Defense webpage. Check out World of Troy on Instagram. Check out on Facebook, all those. And also, do me a favor and check out Nordic Components. Give those guys a like and a shout out too. I want to thank them personally for joining in on Talking Lead's show here. Proud to have them as a sponsor also. Keep a lookout for the 2016 catalog coming out eventually from Troy Industries. They're doing a lot of shows right now advertising some of their new stuff with their weapons and accessories that are coming out. So just wanted to throw that in there before I jumped off. So
And Nordic Component, or not Nordic, but DP Customs and Weapon Works also.
Oh yeah, definitely. Check those guys out. Definitely check them out. Check out Doug at DP Customs. Give him a shout. Call him. He'll answer his phone. He's good at doing that, and he does outstanding work. And Zach at Weapon Works for the Cerakote jobs. Those guys take their job to heart. So I mean, it's they do great work. Check out their Facebook pages and Instagram. They got some killer stuff that they do. And some of the Cerakote jobs, they got like flags and stuff like that on their weapons. It's pretty sweet. So
don't want to ruin it, but we might have some discount codes coming up from them also.
Sweet.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Sweet.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it.
Definitely. You guys take it easy.
Holla at you tomorrow.
All right. We'll see y'all.
All right. So thanks to Casey for being on and updating us on the Trijicon challenge. It was a great time, and hopefully I'll get to join him this Sunday. So back to our super special guest, Tim with Tactical Walls. Tim?
Hey.
Tell everybody about Tactical Walls. Everybody's been hearing about them, the lead heads. I know a lot of them have gone online already and ordered some stuff from you. But for those who have been living in a cave lately, tell everybody about Tactical Walls, who you are and what you do.
Tactical Walls. We are a small family-owned and operated business out of, I'd say, Western Virginia. Not to be confused with West Virginia, which is a very great place as well.
Yeah.
But
you're in the western part of Virginia.
Western part of Virginia, and in fact, some of our staff lives in West Virginia. So
okay, so not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing. No, West Virginia's a great state. It's a great place to go, and we go out there, hang out. We shoot a lot of guns out there. They got a nice range, and a lot of good property. And
so they probably live on the east side of West Virginia.
Yeah, you got that right. Exactly. And we build a variety of, or at least 3 years ago when we started the business, we had a few products. We had two when we really kicked off. We had a large mirror and a small mirror, and people just really loved them. They just,
Now what you guys are doing is you're specializing in furniture that you can conceal items, and mainly, I mean, you're catering to firearms.
Exactly. Yep. Right. And it conceals it, but it allows you to access it real quickly. So you remember everyone's seen the old movies or the cartoons back in the day where, like that mirror right behind you there, or a picture on a wall where you hinge it open and there's a safe. Mm-hmm. There's that whole cliche of behind the executive's desk there's a picture and behind it there's a safe.
Or that book that you pull out and the bookcase opens up.
Exactly. So we just sort of started from there. We were like, well, hey, there's definitely some space to be used in a wall, and we could build a nice looking custom whatever. And started with a mirror, and we went from there. And then we've offered it now in multiple sizes. We offer it as a print, as a chalkboard. You can send us your family photo, Christmas photo, whatever it is. We'll print it on canvas and install it for you. You can choose the color. We send it to you. It's ready to go. You hang it in your house, and you've got a nice little hiding spot for maybe a handgun.
Very cool.
For a rifle. So
because you can customize the size. So
exactly.
It could be in your workout room, and you could have one of those full-size mirrors where you're, checking the bod out and everything, and
where you're taking all your Instagram pictures.
Yeah, that's right. Where you're doing your selfies, and you can have that sucker turn into a Tactical Walls concealment wall.
Yeah, you can do the whole wall. We just released last month and a half, 2 months ago. We started a whole custom line, whole custom division where people can contact us. We've got it's the custom shop tab on our website, but they can leave an email to get a quote. They can call in to ask if they've got something that they want to see done with a piece of furniture, something, that will suit their house, because we all live in different houses. They all have different style decor. So
some of us do.
Yeah. Sky's the limit.
Depends on what state you're in, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm kidding. No, but you've got something that will fit every style, whether it might be country cabin style or it's metrosexual style. You've got something that's going to fit everybody's style.
We've got guys, girls, young, old. We've got something. And if we don't, you contact us. There's a good chance we can make what you want. So we've been growing as a business the last couple of years. We've been adding to the product line. We've got a couple cool projects we're working on now that I'm not going to talk about or go into too deep. But
Oh, come on, man. We want an exclusive here. That's what this show's about, exclusives. Don't do
I can
that
tell
to
you
us.
we've got some smaller things, and we've just released 2 different size shelves that one's released already, one's not yet released, but will be real soon.
Yeah.
And little things that make it real easy to get just one handgun.
Yeah.
And we think they're going to be really big for people because, like Casey was just on, he could buy multiple of them and have a couple of them staged throughout his house.
Right.
So
now I got to ask you this. I'm probably jumping ahead a little bit, but this has been on my mind for a while. I've been anxious to have you on. I've been thinking about doing something to the back of the lead sled as far as some sort of gun cabinets or whatnot. Are you guys getting into the vehicle type stuff?
We've messed with it a long time ago. We've never shown anybody anything, but we've had the request from enough people where it's like it's not really what we set out to do. Yeah. But we don't. At the time, we didn't have the resources to really pursue that, and it's still not a main priority. But
gotcha.
Like you mentioned, the lead sled, we've got our own big, Thunder Wagon vehicle also.
Yeah.
So I've got a bunch of tools in the back of mine that I like to have handy. Everything from wrenches and straps, chains, just for your general 4-wheel drive stuff. And I'm going to be building some compartments for holding all of that stuff, as well as first aid type stuff, first responder type stuff.
Yeah.
And but it's only natural that we would probably meld some of our own products into that line over time. So
absolutely.
And then as far as exclusive goes, some fairly big news for us. We're looking at a new location.
Oh wait, do we need a drum roll here?
No, not really. Not really need a
We're getting an exclusive.
But we are looking at expanding our footprint as far as larger space, because the space we're kind of outgrowing the space we're in. So
that's a good problem.
we need to make a decision here soon on what we're going to do. And one of the possibilities is a larger facility that's sitting empty at the other end of town here. So larger facility will allow for a lot of neat growth opportunities.
Add to more variety.
A lot more variety. We're just excited because the thought or possibility of having our own private indoor range would be pretty nice.
Tactical walls, indoor range.
That wouldn't be bad, would it? We'd be able to host. We'd be able to host some people if they wanted to come and check out our space. We'd have a place to sit and shoot inside.
Hell yeah! So what it is? It's like you could test out your product. So when somebody's accessing the shelf and dropping the gun, then they could practice, how quickly they can do that, and you've got the range there to do it.
Absolutely.
Kind of like you did at the IV888, you had a little thing set up with your products, and it was really cool because it actually gave you a sense of how quick you could access your firearms and get them
a defensive position.
Yeah. Right. So it actually gave you hands-on, the ability to see how easily and how quickly you could access your firearms from, and what you had there was one of those sliding mirror.
We had a full-length mirror, or 1450, and we had it's right, at IV88, we only had the full-length mirror set up because of the weather.
Right,
we didn't set up the shelf.
Crappy weather.
When we went to the next show, we actually set up a shelf also, so you had to access the pistol and the rifle from 2 different components.
Yeah, and so that would have been really cool to have.
At the IV event, though, still we were able to get somebody to open the mirror, access the rifle. We had a window where they could shoot from, but load it, fire off 2 rounds downrange, get down to the target, access it again for the pistol, load it, and get off 2 more rounds. All that in the span of about 7 seconds. So
I think my time was that the best time? I thought my time was like 7, and it got beat by like 2 seconds.
It might have
was mine 9? I don't know. I told you guys on a previous episode, so go back to that episode. But
I know Eric from IV8888 did. I'm going to refer to him as Eric Quad 8.
Eric Quad 8. There you go.
I think he did a 9 or 10, and Rob Boss did it actually. Rob Boss ran it.
Rob Boss with the fro and all, huh?
He rocked out maybe a 10 or an 11, but he's a very patient man, so he took a little time doing it.
Well, I know I think it was a 9. I think that's what I had. I did it in 9, and I was getting heckled by James Yeager the whole time I was doing it.
Yeah.
So if I don't put the stress on you, nothing will. And then I think 7. I think you're right. 7 was the quickest time, and that's fast.
It's fast, but
because there was probably a good yard or 2 yards between accessing the mirror, getting to the window. You had to load it, get 2 shots off, then go back, get the pistol, load the pistol, get 2 shots off.
And that's the 2 things about our products, because we're not a safe company, and we openly say, safes are great. We don't go out and kick on safes and say safes are great. People should definitely, if they can afford a safe, definitely get a safe, and they should have a safe in their home, whether it be in the basement, or the garage, or wherever they choose to put it. A lot of guys are building big old gun rooms, and that's great. If you have the resources to do it. But our products were sort of an entry level for people who aren't quite to the safe stage yet, or if they do have a safe and it's in the basement, and that doesn't do them any good in their bedroom.
Well, and that's your product just adds a whole nother dimension. And like you said, they're not safes. Okay, guys, don't get these confused with safes. These are concealment devices so that you can get to your firearms in an emergency situation where you don't have to go to your safe and do the safe thing. You're not keeping all your guns in these. Keep your guns in the safe, but have your defensive guns.
We call it concealed carry for your house is really what it is.
Exactly. Concealed carry for your house, but yet there's still concealable and safe enough where the kids aren't going to be able to get to them. You're not going to want to teach your kids that these are behind there if you've not obviously trained them in the use and how to use a firearm.
Right. And then the other thing is it's the out of sight thing for, God forbid, there's a break-in and you're not home. Someone breaks in and you're out of town for the weekend and they look under your bed and find a shotgun. That shotgun's now on the street. Don't put your shotguns under the bed. Put your shotguns in a mirror next to the bed. It's just as close, just as quick to access.
Unless you have a custom-built compartment under your bed that Tactical Walls has built for you.
Oh, yeah. By all means, give us a call. We'll hook you up.
Then store it under your bed.
Right.
So you guys have been at this for how long?
3 years.
3 years, and you
October
guys
12th, we just had our 3-year anniversary.
You guys are growing by leaps and bounds.
Yeah, we've gone one employee to 26 in that span.
That's phenomenal, man. Congratulations on that.
We appreciate it, and we listen to our customer feedback. We do the best we can on the social media. Not me, because I'm terrible, as you saw earlier with the social media aspect.
You're not very tech savvy.
I am not, and I'm not even looking to get tech savvy. But
that's why you got other people, right?
But that's I make sure that we have the right team. And the people who run those different channels and maintain that, they know what they're doing, and they're very good at it. So
yeah, great bunch of people. I've met Tim. Not Tim. Sorry, you're Tim.
I'm Tim.
Met Chris. Your other half, Chris.
Yep.
And just a super nice guy. And he kind of the one I went through with the clock thing, and was very attentive and helpful, and got everything just right. It's perfect.
We're just simple guys.
I haven't hung it yet. I got to hang it. I got to find a place to hang it.
Yeah.
I'm redoing the room in case you can't see. It's a little messy, but this is going to be, it's either going to be this room or I got another room where I'm going to actually make a permanent, the talking lead room. So I haven't decided which one. That's why I haven't hung that yet. So.
Yeah, that's all right.
I hate putting holes in walls, because if you don't do it right the first time, then you got to, patch it. And
No, you don't got to patch it. We sell a drywall repair kit.
Okay. There you go.
It's just a mirror.
It's just
our drywall repair kit is a mirror, and it's useful when you're done.
If I were to cover all the holes in my walls where I've jacked up hanging paintings or pictures and things, it would be nothing but mirrors.
Yep, or pictures or clocks. So
very cool. Let's get into. We'll come back and talk more about Tim and Tactical Walls, but it's time for our Jackwagon of the Week.
Hoorah, Semper Fi, do or die, hold 'em high at 8th and I. It is time for the Talking Lead Jackwagon of the Week, so brace yourself, baby.
All right, so Tim has a Jackwagon for us this week. I'm going to let him go first, and then I've got one I'm going to throw on there just because. So go ahead, Tim.
My Jackwagon of the Week has actually been marinating for about a month because their news broke out beginning of October. And it's the San Francisco Board of Supervisors
Yeah, we've actually had a couple of lead heads suggest them. So tell us about what these Jackwagons have been doing.
And Mike Farrell, I think, is the guy who proposed the legislation. They've San Francisco, if you don't know, and I'm sure a lot of your fans definitely do. California is already, very restrictive on firearms, firearm ownership, and as I like to call it, freedom and liberty, as it is. And then various jurisdictions then take it even a step further, whether it be on the county level or the state, county or city or town level, and they go even above and beyond jackwagon status.
Yeah.
And so the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, Mike Farrell, kind of drafted this legislation that they're proposing they want the one and only gun shop that's still in San Francisco to digitally record all of their firearm sales transactions so that the local law enforcement will have a record of who's buying the weapons and when, which is complete and total invasion of privacy. A private transaction that's taking place between a private individual and a private company, no reason to really get them involved in any of that. And then the other thing that they want is recorded the sales of their ammunition, which is,
What?
Yeah, it's very
record
draconian.
ammunition sales as well.
Yeah, they don't necessarily need to record digitally, but they want a log, if you will, where they'd be able to submit that log at the end of the week. Here's our ammunition sales. Here are the people who purchased our ammunition.
So if you go buy ammunition at this store, then you have to give them your ID, and they put down your name, address, phone number. It says John Smith bought 300 rounds October the 28th, 2015 at such time.
Well, and there's so much press about this. If the people go out and just look it up, probably the quickest thing you could Google is last gun shop in San Francisco closing its doors. So you don't have to worry about it because no one's information is going to make it because they're going to close their doors. So, and now the Board of Supervisors is saying, he's decided to close his doors preemptively because they haven't completely voted on it yet, so it's not yet law. But it's, or it may have, at this point, I think we may have. I think they unanimously voted on it between the time the news broke earlier this month and now.
How big is San Francisco? It's pretty damn large.
San Francisco is huge, but there was only one gun shop there. And the thing is, the
whole state.
The
whole city.
The gun shop's been there for, I think I read 63 years. And it was started by an Olympic shooter, an Olympic, target shooter.
Yeah.
Long time ago. So here is this institution that's been there for a long time, and
they're getting run out of business.
They're getting run out of business, and the Board of Supervisors say, the guy that's running it's in his 70s now. He's, that's the reason he's closing it is he's retiring. But it's
so. Do they have Walmarts in California, San Francisco?
So that was the interesting thing I also found out. I want to nominate Walmart for the Jackwagon Award because
okay.
When I was going through and reading all of this, one of the things that the Board of Supervisors pointed out is that Walmart, is a pretty big firearm seller. And Walmart already...
Ammunition, yeah.
But they already record their transactions. They just do it in such a way that it's in on the eye in the sky, all those little black bubbles. You go to Walmart, you see all the little black security camera. So
right.
Walmart already has a digital record of every firearm transaction that that they've had. So you never think about that. You don't consider that. You go into your local gun shop and
But here's the thing: depending on what state you're in, I guess the local authorities they're not privy to those tapes. That's private property.
Absolutely correct. That's private property.
But this law that
California or the city of San Francisco
is going to put in place would make those file footages available to local law enforcement anytime they want them.
Exactly. Pretty much. So.
Yeah, so that's why I brought up Walmart is because, technically this guy might be the only dedicated gun shop, but there's still Walmarts, and I guess Walmart. I was going to say, does Walmart in San Francisco sell guns and firearms?
That I don't know. I'm not big on traveling to California, so I couldn't tell you.
I'm not either. So some of our lead heads can fill us in on that. I would think that they probably don't, just for the all the bull crap.
Well, I know that Walmart. Here's another reason to go ahead and nominate them. I know that they won't in certain jurisdictions sell handgun ammunition or what they consider handgun ammunition. Which how do you .22 long rifle can be fired through a rifle or a handgun.
Right.
So they don't really even know the laws of. I was in a Walmart once and couldn't get 9mm or 45 ACP because it's a handgun ammunition.
But I can also shoot it through my Kel-Tec 70,000, which is a rifle.
Exactly. And they don't, Walmart makes these self-imposed laws. That's something they've done upon themselves.
Yeah.
So that they can then do a press release that says Walmart, handguns are the reason for violent crime, so we're not going to sell handgun ammunition. We're not going to feed it. But
yeah. Well, I think everything they do is almighty dollar based anyway. I don't really think they give a crap about local laws or whatever, because they quit selling the modern sporting rifles, the ARs, because the market is saturated with them. I think it was a purely economical decision on their part. If they were selling, they were still making money, I think Walmart would still be selling the AR-15s.
Right. Here's a quote from Mike Farrell. He's the one of the supervisors on the board of supervisors. He says, other cities already have laws with similar requirements for firearms and ammunition sales. And even though this is San Francisco's only store and it's now going out of business, Farrell says the new law will be in place should anyone else try to set up shop. So even that sentence there, should anyone else try to set up shop, they don't want a private individual to, absolutely. How dare you try to set up your evil shop here? So
right.
I think at this point they're still in business, but they've been selling the crap out of their T-shirts for support. People from all over the country have been supporting. So Highbridge Arms is the name of the shop in San Francisco. But we may be too late because this thing I got says it closes.
I don't know. Seems like I read something today that it still hadn't passed, and it said that if they did pass it, then he was going to close his doors. But it may have. And
regardless, they're on the Jackwagon.
Oh yeah, definitely. And they've been on there before for other stupid crap that they've done. But they're moving up a little closer to the front of the bus, no doubt, or the train. The train. All right, so my Jackwagon is this police officer that's been in the news, and I don't know that I want to throw the police officer on, but there was this incident. He's an SRO officer, student resource officer, where the school was having some trouble with one of the students. All right, so this goes down in Columbia, South Carolina. So this sheriff's deputy was called in to get this student that refused to leave. Apparently she was acting up in class, disrupting class, preventing the other students from getting their education for the day. And the teacher asked her to leave, and she refused to leave, and she sat there doing something on her phone. I don't know. But there's videos of this out there, and you can watch the videos, and you can make your own decision. But so they call the SRO officer in, and he forcefully gets the girl to leave. And he does that by picking her up and throwing her out of her desk. Now, it says he threw her across the room. I've seen the video, and he's not really throwing her across the room. He's dragging her because she's like kicking and screaming and fighting him. So he is trying to, without hurting her, get her out of this desk and not hurting the other students. But with her resisting, it kind of makes it tough. So it looks like he loses his grip on her. He's trying to drag her to the door, and then he loses his grip, and she slides through the floor. You know how slick school floors are. And she slides. Well, this guy has lost his job. He's been fired over it as of today, December the 28th, 2015. But I'm not throwing him on the Jackwagon train. I'm throwing the school system. I'm throwing the Columbia, South Carolina Sheriff's Department on the Jackwagon train, because they called in the feds on this and made a federal case out of it when the feds have no business getting involved with this. It needed to be handled by the.
When you get when you got a federal agency getting involved with a girl who wouldn't leave class,
how messed up is that? Yeah, how messed up is that?
The resources spent on what should be a non-issue, non-story, non-anything.
It should have never made it out of the school newspaper. I could see the school newspaper covering this, but poor pitiful little Sarah, because she's being a little snot in class and disrupting the other children's educational experience. They call the SRO officer in, which it should have been the principal handling this. They shouldn't have even called in the SRO for this. Principal and the teachers and the staff should have handled this themselves, but everybody's so afraid, I guess, of, and again, this was a black girl too. I don't think I mentioned that. She's a black girl. So obviously,
the resource officer was white, right?
And the resource officer is white, yes. So they're trying to make a racial issue out of it, although I've heard time and time again that nobody is calling it a racial issue at this point, which is good. But you know who's coming next is Jesse Jackson and Louis Farrakhan and all those jackwagons, and they're going to make some kind of civil rights thing out of it. This family, this black girl's family, they're going to sue. They're going to win. They're going to get millions of dollars settled out of court, which is going to be tragic if that happens.
Well,
but the federal government should never have been brought into this to investigate this. It should have been handled locally. The sheriff of the Columbia, South Carolina Police Department is a jackwagon for not having the balls to handle this himself and calling in the feds on this. So that's who I'm throwing on the jackwagon training. I think his name is Lott. Lott asked the FBI.
And I don't think he can turn it away. I don't think he can get a call from the principal saying this thing happened. And as a sheriff, I don't think he can say, well, I don't care because of the resource. Here's the, and this is purely my personal opinion at this point. And I don't speak in any professional capacity, but just as a person, as a man in America, the fact that we have to have officers in our schools as it is
ridiculous.
That we have to have a student resource officer there is just crazy to me.
But why? You know why that is? That is because it starts off small and then it builds its way up. So what's happened, this is the left hand's theory, Tim, okay? So bear with me. Over the years, the parents have gone and they've complained and they've bitched and they've moaned and they've sued schools. So they've sued teachers, they've sued principals, they've sued school boards that, if you touch my child, you're not going to get away with that. Or if you talk nasty to my little Sarah, you try to put her in her place, we're not going to have any of that. So what has the school system's done? They've made policies and laws that, okay, you can't do that. You can't talk this way to these students anymore. So, all right, if you can't do that, then we've got to bring in the local police. We've got to get the SRO officers in here. So what are they doing now with the SRO officers? They're dumbing down their power, their authority as well. So what's the point in having an SRO officer in there now if he can't do all this? Well, now they're going to start making it a federal thing, and they're going to get federal people in to try to do the disciplinary things, and then you've got the government controlling everything. So it's over the years, it's been a gradual maturation to the point to where it's at now.
Well, it's funny because it's just the words, words matter and definitions. The definition of what a word is changed and has changed over time. And, when you or I were in school, there was a truancy office. And the truancy office, it's an office, a building, it's a room. Mm-hmm. And that's where people who are truant, whether they're skipping school altogether or coming in late. And in the truancy office, you have a, quote, truancy officer. Mm-hmm. Now that's just a generic title for a person that's there. Not to say officer of the law, but we now have officers that are full-blown law enforcement officers of the law who in some cases in some schools are armed, in some cases in some schools are not. And like you said, the school has said, okay, we're not going to talk bad to Sally or Jesse or Sam or Mike. We're going to just, be very hands-off with your son or daughter. But local law enforcement has the full authority of local law enforcement, resources. Right. And they won't necessarily be very hands-off with. But it's a pretty sad state. It really is. And a lot of it, and I'm definitely down for your nomination for Jackwagon recipient. But a lot of that starts real early in life. Anyone who's raising a kid.
It does.
It's how you raise your kid to respect, whether it's
authority figures.
Authority, but not necessarily all authority, and not blindly. I'm not one for blind acceptance and respect of authority for the sake of respect of authority, because that's how a lot of bad things happen. I mean, look what happened with the Catholic Church, because a lot of people were you just respect authority figures and you don't ever question anything, and you got a whole generation of people who were terribly mishandled in the Catholic school system or church, And now comes to light,
well, there's a complete difference in, questioning authority and just being a flat out rebel.
Oh yeah. Well, and then that's the other thing is does the punishment fit the crime?
Mm-hmm.
We don't get a whole lot of what was the disruption in class, because in the video, as you see, she's not exactly there kicking and flailing and making a ton of noise, but she is not listening to the teacher's request to go to the office, get out of the class.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Now, could this guy have handled this a different way? I'm sure he probably could have. But
don't tase me, bro.
But oh my gosh, that school would be burned down right now if he tased her. There would have been riots going on in South Carolina. It'd be like Missouri. But but from what I'm seeing, he was doing his best to get her remove her from the classroom environment as best he could without her voluntary cooperation. And he didn't throw her across the room. He was dragging her because she refused to walk.
He definitely
and he lost his grip, So he was trying to scoot her and slide her. He lost his grip, and it looked like
he's definitely going in like forceful. You're not going to go in there real dainty, and
No, he meant business. He had to show he meant business, but he did not pick her up and throw her, which is what everybody's making this out to be.
Right. Well, the thing too is, and it's so much easier to sit back here now, days later, and be armchair quarterbacks about it.
Yeah.
But when you have an individual, the best thing they're doing whatever they're doing for the audience. So if you remove the teacher and all the other students from the room and you have them all go out in the hallway, and then you have the student resource officer and the principal go into the room and say, "Look, time to go. Show's over."
Right. Right. Yeah, like I said, there are probably a million different ways that this could have been handled, and
But I agree though. The sheriff, to be able to make this and turn into a federal thing.
But here's another thing: is I didn't know kids were allowed to have cell phones in class. What are these kids doing with all their cell phones out? Recording this, and that's another thing. Like you said, she was probably putting on a show. She knew she was being recorded, which probably escalated her determination on not budging. Her decision, and I don't know. It's ridiculous. The school should have handled this.
The technology that we have today, we don't have a way to moderate, I guess, or I don't know. People are going to have phones for here evermore until we're just communicating, with a chip in our brain or something without the phone.
But at the same time, they can. The teachers there, they see the kids' video. They could take the phones up. And say, sorry, you're not supposed to have this in class. Taking this, confiscate. Now, there's probably been some kind of policy put in place because some parents got upset because they were taking their kids' phones who were being disruptive in class with their phones, and now they don't touch their phones either.
The argument
that may be a policy there too. I don't know.
I always hear the argument of I need to have access to my kid no matter what emergency situation. I need to be able to contact my kid, this or that. And it's such a BS argument to me because every generation in the country prior to this generation went to school through school with no phone.
There's more generations that went to school without a phone than have been going with a phone.
And there's only one.
There's proof in the pudding right there that you don't need to be in constant contact with your ankle biter.
So
your little yard ape.
We could probably go on, all day, you and I, with our own personal stuff, but it's...
Oh, let's do it. That's what this show's about, man.
We can definitely... we'll definitely see more of these.
Hell with what everybody else thinks. It's about our personal opinion.
Yeah, we're going to have more of this stuff will happen, though. It's just over time.
Well, this is what they're doing. They're training these kids, and these families are training their kids to... Is like, look, this could be a payday for us.
A friend of mine...
I think a lot of people are seeing it that way too. It's like, get an authority figure to go off on you, and it's payday for the family.
A friend of mine, and this is a true story. His mom is a substitute teacher rather, and she was substitute teaching a third grade class somewhere, and they were reading a book in third grade about the characters were British, and so she thought, I'll read in a British accent, in the best British accent she could muster.
Sure.
She's trying to read the character's part. figuring, it'll bring the book to life a little bit. It'll put some spice into the character. It'll actually, instead of just being the same, teacher's voice, the kids might really appreciate or enjoy it. So she's doing her best, English impersonation. I don't know. Some people can do that stuff great. Some people not so much. And third grader raised his hand. I don't know if it was him or her, but I'll say his for the sake of the story. Raised his hand and told the teacher that what she was doing offended him. That he was offended. This is a third grader who that offends me.
You know why it offends him?
Because somebody probably coached him to.
Because he's heard that. Yeah, his mama got up one time and somebody did something and said that offended me.
Because in third grade, I try to think back to third grade. I'm trying to put myself and obviously you can't use my history, can't use your history, but the idea or concept of being offended in third grade to me it's so.
I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what that word meant.
And we can't use our education level. Maybe this is a really bright kid, but still, like you're saying.
But still, why would it offend him? I mean, does watching Angelina Jolie in a movie doing her fake British accent offend him? She was doing it for effect. She was doing it for art. What happened to theater?
And you won't be allowed to have theater because that'll,
because it's going to offend somebody.
It'll offend somebody.
Yeah, you can't do Shakespeare anymore, and you can't do it in the old British tongue because it's going to offend somebody.
Yeah, well, I mean, and there's always something with, look at Robert Downey Jr. and some of the roles he's played, and look at Tropic Thunder and some of the,
Love that movie.
Never mind the fact that it's a comedy for comedy's sake, and never mind the fact that his character in that comedy is such a, it's poking fun of being able to be such a well-known actor that you can do any character.
Right.
But, there's one character in particular that
he's
doing, and exactly, and people are up in arms about him doing blackface.
It's hilarious.
So
it's hilarious. Because we know that he's not being racist about it. He's being an overzealous actor who thinks that they can take on any kind of part.
And that is exactly the story.
So. And nail it. That's what's so funny about it, because there are actors out there like that.
The whole thing about feelings not being hurt and trying to protect everyone's feelings all the time. And it's just, it's dangerous. We're getting on slippery, dangerous ground that.
Yeah.
To think that you have the right to go through life without being, whether it be offended or upset or angry, like those are things that inherently you're going to come across and probably should, because it's what builds character.
Yeah. And you need to know how to deal with it personally, and instead of trying to make somebody else change.
Exactly.
And
if you
deal with it, because the world don't revolve around you, sunshine.
If you think you're going to make it through without being offended or upset or things aren't going to go your way, it's
hell. I offend probably 90% of the people that listen to this show.
Did you see? I just saw a Kia. I think it was a Kia ad.
Kia, like the car.
Kia, the car. This guy is walking back. I wasn't even in the room. I was in the kitchen at a friend's house, and happened to catch the tail end of the ad because the kids get in the car and he has this trophy in his hand, and it says participation, participant.
Participant.
And he peels the little participation trophy, the little placard, he peels it off the front of the trophy, and he takes a Sharpie marker, there's a little plug for Sharpie, and he writes down champs. He handwrites champs on the trophy. And because he's just holding the trophy in his hand, and he's looking down, and I think he was upset because I think he says something along the lines of, we won, we were the champs, but everyone got a participation trophy, not even, just everyone got a participation trophy, whether you won or not. So he wrote champs on it. Then he gets in the car and he gives the trophy to the kids, and everyone's like, yay.
Isn't that the whole point of having a competition, is you have a winner? Isn't that the whole point in having a competition? Is to see who is better, who's best?
Yeah. Isn't that the whole point of training, to try to be better or best or fastest?
Right. So what's the point in having a competition?
But then everybody,
it's not a competition then. Then it's just it's an activity.
The cool thing is there are so many competitions. There's so many hobbies, sports, avenues, outlets, if you will, that everybody can be a winner at something. Every one of us. You and I aren't going to be going out and winning any beauty pageants anytime too soon.
Well, it depends. Depends on what kind of a beauty pageant it is.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. You probably do all right.
Just like they've come up with all these different kind of beauty pageants to let people who can't win Miss America feel good about themselves by winning this specialized little beauty pageant that they've made over here. I don't know the names of any beauty pageants, but I do know, there's like, I don't know.
They just have Miss Navajo Nation. That article was just out in the news.
Miss Navajo Nation. There's Miss Black America. There's Miss.
It wasn't Miss Navajo Nation isn't based on looks. It's not a looks based.
Miss Geriatrics. There's Miss.
It's Miss Navajo was great because it was based on their ability. They were judged greatly on their ability to speak their native tongue,
yeah,
and to butcher sheep, which I'm totally down with. Like,
sweet.
Yeah, I mean, attributes you definitely want in a Miss Navajo for sure.
That's right. I mean, that's an attribute that you want on the range at Navajo Nation, because the women cook
where
food.
Looks don't really get you much when you're, I mean, not too much for you.
But our point is that if it's a competition, that by definition there has to be a winner. You're competing against other people. If you're not competing to be the best or the worst in some competitions, I guess there are competitions that are designed that way, then it's not a competition. It's just an activity at that point.
All right.
So don't call it a competition. All right, so let's wrap up our Jackwagon. That's like probably the second longest Jackwagon. Might be the first. I'll have to time it. But 2 good Jackwagons. Appreciate you bringing that California Jackwagons on board. They definitely deserve it. All right, Leadheads, this is our Fact to Fight the Myth segment. So, Zeke, introduce it.
SDI is proud to present the Talking Lead Fact to Fight the Myth.
All right, so somewhere along the way during my interview with Tim, I lost this audio. So I am doing a recreation of our Fact to Fight the Myth this week, and it has to do with the fact of a lot of people believe that you have to register your firearms. So let's say your grandpa dies and he wills you his shotgun collection that he had. Well, a lot of people feel that they have to register those firearms before they can take possession of those, which is not accurate. You do not have to register those firearms. In most cases, there are no federal laws requiring registration of a firearm. The exception to this rule is NFA weapons. NFA weapons include machine guns, certain parts of machine guns, short-barreled rifles, short-barreled shotguns, of course suppressors / silencers, and what's considered destructive devices such as grenades or mortars. An additional category that they have is called any other weapon, and this is just a term that is used to describe a concealable weapon that can be shot but doesn't quite fit into any other category. This would be like those umbrella canes that you've seen, or those super spy type things like a gun, a pen gun, something like that. So unless it's one of those, you don't have to register your weapons. So in-state transactions, if you're an individual and you're doing a transaction with another individual who wants to buy your gun, then there's no federal law that requires you to have to register that or go through a federal firearms license dealer. In most states, now there are some states out there you want to check your local state laws, but there's no federal law for that. So outside of just a person-to-person transaction, or your grandpa willing his gun to you, or if your grandpa just wants to give you his gun, if you go through a federal firearms license dealer, you are required to undergo a federal background check and fill out that form. It's just a firearms transaction record. It's known as the Form 4473. This isn't technically the same as registering your gun, but it is a record of the purchase. So that's a big misconception that a lot of people have. And we want to thank Tim for bringing this Fact to Fight the Myth to the show this week. So to reiterate, the myth is that you have to register your firearms. The fact is that there is no federal law that requires you to register guns or firearms unless they're in that category of the NFA weapons that I had mentioned earlier. And as long as you're doing an individual transaction within your own state, and each individual has to be obviously from that state, then it's legal to do person-to-person transactions. Now, if you're buying from outside your state, then you're required to let an FFL handle the transfer in that case. I'm not an attorney, Leadheads. Of course, you know that. But there are many sources out there that you can refer to get this information. And the interwebs being the biggest one, just Google it and you'll find all kinds of information out there about that. Thank you, Tim, with Tactical Walls, for this week's Sonoran Desert Institute's Fact to Fight the Myth. SDI's 32 semester credit hour certificate program in gunsmithing and 60 credit hour Associate of Science in Firearms Technology degree program can work hand in hand and are the most complete training programs of their kind. SDI strives to give you the best quantity and quality of professional gunsmithing information and tools. These programs are perfect for students interested in careers in the firearms industry or for those who are interested in owning their own gunsmithing business. Our programs are delivered via distance learning, which allows our students to maintain full-time jobs, families, military service, and more while working towards their degree or certificate. The Sonoran Desert Institute mission is adding value to our students' lives by providing innovative, relevant, and applicable workplace-driven education through distance-delivered instructions. Visit them at sdi.edu. All right, so Tim, this is his first time on our show, so he is going to get subjected to our line of questioning for first-time guests. But Tim, how did you originally get involved with firearms?
Originally involved with firearms.
What's your earliest recollection of shooting a gun?
My dad had guns when I was growing up, and he had, shotguns, this, that, air rifle. And I remember my parents bought me a BB gun for Christmas when I was, to a lot of people, too young to have access to such a destructive device. But
you'll put your eye out.
I don't know, I was 6, 7, 8 years old, maybe. I don't even remember.
You remember what it was?
I still have it. Actually, my kids shoot it. So
cool.
Yep. And so that was my first, as far as.
What was your first bullet gas-operated firearm?
My first one.
Gunpowder.
It was a Taurus PT-111 9mm subcompact.
How old were you when you had that?
That was several years ago, not very long ago at all.
Okay.
I was an adult.
You still own that?
Yeah. Oh, no, I don't still own that. I actually sold that via the, quote, gun show loophole.
Oh.
So, or in other words, a private individual had interest in my private property, and we had a private transaction.
So, in other words, you did a legal transaction.
Yeah, totally legal.
Yeah.
If I'd had a lawnmower, he would have bought that as well, and a bicycle. But I didn't have a lawnmower. He was looking for one.
Well, you want to make sure you get his driver's license and address if you're going to sell him that lawnmower, because he may take that lawnmower and decapitate somebody with it.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't have that. And I don't regret selling it. I mean, it served its purpose.
What'd you replace it with?
Glock.
Nice.
Which I still have.
Glock.
But
which one?
19.
Okay.
But I
9mm guy.
My dad and my brother were both into the firearms all growing up. I was into sports and motorcycles and bicycles and other stuff. I didn't have a thing against firearms. I just didn't, wasn't into it.
Busy doing other stuff.
But then as I got older and had a family and had kids and we bought our home, I kind of thought, man, I need to get. Actually, I had guns in the house. They just weren't mine. My brother had a rule, I guess. His wife had a rule for him years ago.
His wife had a rule? You can't have guns.
He couldn't have more than like 13 or something. There was some really arbitrary number. She didn't want more than 13, like a baker's dozen or something.
Okay.
So I was holding several of his for him. So it's funny because it's just like, oh, okay, well, we'll keep 13 at the house, and my brother will hold 3, and my buddy will hold 4, and another guy will hold,
I know people that actually do that, not because, mama's got a rule against it, but they want to have their guns spread out.
Right. Well, and I think my brother's
access to them
long went out the window. I think that was very early in their relationship where there was some misunderstanding of how.
Oh, she just wanted to flex her muscles, is all it was.
Safer, and I think as time went on, it's no, bring them. All are welcome. Yeah. So I no longer have to hold my brother's firearms anymore. But I I got my own. I got that 9mm, had it at the house, and
Nice.
got a concealed carry permit, and go out and train and shoot and practice and get to be
Like you're
familiar
supposed to do when you're a responsible gun owner. Good for you.
Yeah, and you learn a lot. There's so much to learn.
There is.
And so you go out and then you want to try other calibers, and you said 9mm guy. I got 45s and 9mm and 22s and all that stuff. I bought 22s because they were great, cheap for training, and then about 5 months later they were impossible to get.
Yeah.
So
now they're not. You can get them now.
Yeah,
they're
it's not like
back
it was
robust. And I'm really surprised that since this last freaking school shooting that there hasn't been another mad dash or run. I think people have kind of learned that.
There was no real major talk of legislation, though, is what it was.
Well, he's still tooting his horn and shaking their fist and threatening this and threatening that. But
It's
I think
not
people
like,
have learned that they're just threatening and they can't do anything about it. And really, it was these opportunists that were going out and causing these shortages. They were wanting to go and buy and hoard everything and then resell it. And it was a lot of people didn't even own guns that were doing it, that were causing the shortages. So I think a lot of them got busted the last time and had a huge loss. So those Jackwagons quit, going to Walmart buying up all the ammo, causing the shortages, which is good.
I think there's still some of that going on.
Well, there's probably is to a certain extent, but
I think there was a ring of retirees around here who was going around, and they're retired. They go in the middle of the week when the supplies come in.
Yeah, get there at 3 in the morning when the truck shows up.
They go in there and they buy up, the maximum they can buy, and they go as half a dozen guys go together, buy them all up, and then they're putting it on Craigslist or wherever else to make a little profit, supplement their retirement.
Probably get that in certain areas, but it's not like that all over the United States like it was before. But yeah, you do get these little, like you said, little guys ain't got nothing better to do that want to try to corner the market in their area.
Yeah.
But all right, so question number 2 is, do you have any military or law enforcement background?
I was in the Air Force.
Okay, that doesn't count. Do you have any real military or – no, I'm just kidding. Air Force definitely counts, yes.
Yeah, well, people just hate on the Air Force because we got the best stuff. Smartest people, the best-looking women. I mean, best equipment. You know what it is? You know why the Air Force has so much more than everyone else?
Why is that?
Because the Air Force has airplanes, and the Marines don't have airplanes. The Army has
airplanes.
Well, okay, they've got airplanes that they need to use naval ships to do, but when an Air Force base gets ready to go in somewhere, they get a budget from the Pentagon, and it's $1 bajillion. Mm-hmm. And the Air Force goes in, and what's the primary role of the Air Force base is, you need a runway and airplanes, right?
Right.
That's the last thing they build. They spend all their money and they spend all their budget building all the infrastructure, the best hospital, the best food, the best dorms, the best gym, the best everything. And then they go back to the Pentagon and say, we ran out of money for our Air Force base. We have everything but the runway. And what's the Pentagon going to say? Oh, well, you're too late. Too bad, so sad. So Pentagon just
got to have a runway.
We got to have a runway. So then Pentagon goes, I guess, to Congress, and next thing you know, we got a runway.
And then they say, screw your runway. Go land on that aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
Air Force, you think you're so badass.
None of the Air Force planes really can land on an aircraft carrier. But so I've got that going for me.
Got some helicopters. What'd you do in there? Can I ask what you did?
Yeah, I was a crew chief. I was a mechanic for layman's terms.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, not a problem.
Do you have any interesting stories that you could tell? Or would like to? I'm sure you have plenty you could tell. Any that you'd like to share with the listeners?
I think pretty much I was never anything too crazy, like, super top secret. So I traveled a good bit, got to go neat places. Went to the Middle East twice.
Any good fun stories in the Middle East while you were there?
We got to travel.
Dude, I know you. You're a freaking wild man. I know you did something.
We got to travel. I'm a redhead, right? And I will
That's
sunburn.
What I'm seeing. Unless
I will sunburn in about 37 seconds. If I go out in the sun, we decided to go snorkeling because that's what the Air Force does when they go to the Middle East. They go to the Mediterranean and go snorkeling, and
You don't even scuba dive, you snorkel.
We snorkel. But we went snorkeling. We had this like private snorkeling tour and went snorkeling and got all sunburned up. I got so sunburnt that I knew it was going to be bad. So I went back and I had like another day and a half, I think, until I had to be back to duty. And I slept for 19 hours. It was the longest I've ever slept in my life. I basically tried to sleep through all the stages of sunburn burn.
Of sun poisoning?
Yeah. So
Man, that's not fun because I've had sun poisoning before.
I pretty much went and loaded up on as much food as I could and then went back to the tent and climbed in the darkest possible, coolest spot that I could to sleep it off in the hopes that, maybe when I wake up, the sunburn will have already healed itself. So didn't work.
But to no avail, yeah.
No, that's my guess, my best crazy Middle East story.
You're holding back, I can tell. Fine, we'll move on if you don't want to tell us the real stories. That's okay. When it comes to pop culture, what is your go-to movie, book, song, magazine, whatever it may be? What's your go-to comfort pop culture?
Yeah, that's tough. That's a very broad category.
What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Well, I grew up in a house that we didn't have TV, right?
Damn.
So and we don't have TV now. We're a little old school, but
So is Sony not made it to west part of Virginia yet?
No, I'm not big on TV.
Don't dig on TV.
So many other things to do.
So do you not have a TV at all, or you just don't have cable?
We have a TV that is our computer monitor.
Gotcha.
So our TV, to say we don't have TV is a bit of we don't have cable. Yeah. We've got Netflix. We've got Amazon.
Right. And I haven't had cable for going on almost 15 years now.
But I don't watch local news. I don't get down like that at all. Right. I go seek out the news sources, and if I'm, and I'll read news from right-wing sources, left-wing sources. I'll try to get a little bit of everything.
But you were brought up to be a critical thinker, and you read both sides so that you can get the best information possible and form your own decision. That's probably a good way of
putting it. We grew up without the TV, and we had a black and white set that we would break out from the attic for. I can remember watching a Seahawks game. I think they were either in the Super Bowl.
Oh my God!
Or maybe the playoffs. So I remember seeing that. I remember watching the Columbia space shuttle thing on the black and white.
Yeah.
And I remember watching King Kong, like the old King Kong with, I think, Faye Dunaway maybe. But it was playing on one of those little black and whites with the little knob you had to turn.
Like the original King Kong or the one with Jeff Bridges?
No, original, like old school.
Okay, yeah, okay.
But
stop motion.
Pretty much, yeah.
Cool.
But we broke the TV out for very special occasions, and then I guess when we were in our teens, Dad went ahead. He got a TV, and we got a dish, some sort of satellite dish.
Yeah.
And we had that for a couple months, and Dad came home from work one day and was like, "We watched too much TV," and he pretty much just got rid of it. I was like, "Okay,
we watched too much TV,
no problem." So, but anyway, all that backstory to go into this. As a result of not having TV, we didn't have video games. So when we would go visit people, my brother would go play video games with their video games, Nintendo.
He would binge, wouldn't he?
He would go binge video play them. And I never really this is how we differ. I don't really get down with video games. I'll throw a ball, I'll throw baseball, or, I'll hit, I'll run. But if it's not a physical activity, I'm really not down to do it too much. But my thing, though, was movies. I'd binge on movies. So, and I mean, pop culture-wise, I like the old original Mad Max. It was one of my favorite movies. It was one of my...
Mel Gibson, yeah.
Mel Gibson, there's the original Mad Max, and then the Road Warrior. I get down with that kind of stuff. Music, I'm all over the place. A lot of people... They'll end up listening to whatever music they listened to when they were in high school. They'll listen to that the rest of their life.
Yeah. What's your go-to magazine? Do you have a magazine that you like?
The Glock 19.
The Glock 19 magazine? Good answer.
But
I like that.
Not really. No, not really.
Not a soldier of fortune kind of guy?
No. I mean, when I was in the Air Force and prior to doing guns, I was really into motorcycles. So there was this magazine called Road Racer X, and I actually got a subscription to that. So
cool. That
may be the only subscription I've ever held in my life, and that was a decade ago or longer, actually.
That's funny. Your bucket list when it comes to your next gotta have, wanna have gun, laws be damned. rules be damned, what would you like to have? You could have anything.
I'm trying to think. What would I? Something practical. It'd have to be practical. It's
like a Kel-Tec Sub 2000.
Actually, that was the one that I was thinking of. I've got a friend with one, and
me.
Well, dude, there you go. I've got two friends with
friend. I have two. I'll let you shoot. I'll let you shoot one.
Do you have the first gen or the second gen?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a second gen that we got from Kel-Tec to do some marketing stuff with, and we have that. But they sent us a few guns, and we used them in marketing, and we continue to use them. And I kept the KSG. And,
love the KSG, yeah.
Because I
still don't have one though yet. I mean, can you believe that? I still don't have a KSG yet.
I didn't have a 12 gauge, and so all my gun guy friends would rip on me. You can't believe you don't have a 12 gauge. Can't believe you don't have a 12 gauge. But
yeah, anybody with a set of nuts has got to have a 12 gauge. I mean, it's kind of the
that's kind of what I've been told and yelled at about. So when we worked with Kel-Tec, and they were great to work with, and Chad, everybody there, when we got the guns from Kel-Tec, we worked out a deal with them that we didn't have to send them back. You know, we were trying hard.
That's a great deal. That's
not have to send them back, and
that's always my ultimate goal is when they send me one, not to have to send it back. So. All right, so Tim has our trivia question. Actually, it's questions. We're going to have 2 winners this week, and Tim is going to tell you what you're going to win and what you got to do to win it.
All right. Well, our prizes are our Tactical Walls issue boxes, which, for the people who don't know what they are, they're tissue box covers that have a hidden compartment, and they're great for, small little compact pistols, be able to hide something wherever you want to keep it, very innocuously under a tissue box.
What about spy cams? Can you put a spy cam in there?
Yeah, I guess you could if you're resourceful. You definitely could. But what you got to do is you got to go find our Tactical Walls issue box video on the YouTubes, and you've got to find there's a snack. There's a tasty treat somewhere in that video.
Tactical snacktical.
There's a tactical snacktical in that video. You've got to identify what that snack is in the video, and that's what you got to do to be qualified.
But you also have to subscribe to their channel.
Yep.
Okay, and you have to like the video. And we're not putting a number on it like we did Matt's, but you do have to subscribe and you do have to like it.
And you got to go find some Facebook thing and do that.
Right, and as always, you got to go to their Facebook page and like their Facebook page also.
And you don't have to find Instagram, but we'd like if you did. Because you want to see.
Go to Instagram also. No, go to Instagram also. You don't have to, but go there anyway and do it.
Otherwise, you're going to miss out on all the cool, awesome stuff we post up on there.
That's right. And the second way that you can win a tactical issue box is...
In one of our blogs, we mention a fictional doctor character several times in the blog. So we need you to go find the blog page on our website, look through our blogs, and find who the fictional doctor character is. And
tell us who the real live person is also. So
yeah, they've got.
I don't make things easy, man. I make people work for this shit, okay?
Yeah. They've got to find, because everyone will know the fictional doctor.
Yeah, so the fictional doctor, and then tell us who the
person who played the fictional doctor.
Played the fictional doctor is. And same thing applies with this: is you have to go to their Facebook page, like their Facebook page, and you have to sign up for their blog. Do they sign up for your blog?
I don't know how blogs work. I just write them.
Okay. I don't either. But you're going to have to go to
tacticalwalls.com
to find the link to the blog. And, oh, by the way, while you're there at their website, you might as well go ahead and use the Talking Lead discount code, right, Tim?
You probably would like to do that. It'd be a good thing to do. I mean, we're going to extend that to the lead heads out there through the end of January 2016. By the time this airs, that gives them 3 solid months to go there. The holidays are coming. So if you go there,
their products make great gifts for loved ones, for yourself, and they're going to use the standard Leadhead discount code, all caps Leadhead, one word, at checkout, and they're going to tell them what they're going to get, how much they're getting off to.
You get a 7% discount on anything in their cart.
Bang! There you go, guys. 7% off anything in your cart now, and when this airs, so. November through January, to the end of January, you're going to get that discount.
We just started a flat rate shipping thing, too. So I know, depending on where people live, I know if you got a lot of people in California, That used to be one of our big giant shipping destinations.
Yeah.
And with the flat rate shipping, California's loving it right now.
I'll bet. Now, don't mess around with this, lead heads, because Christmas is coming up, and if you're going to put in a custom order, they'll need to get busy on that, because I'm sure these guys are going to get backed up over the holidays. So go ahead and get your orders in. Use the Leadhead discount code, and you're going to make somebody happy this Christmas.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you guys for setting that up, Tim. We appreciate that.
Yeah, not a problem. And then if they're following, once they go do once they go do the find and seek, they'll be following the Facebook, and then they'll get the announcement, because as you mentioned, we do tend to get busy around Christmas, and usually in the middle of November, we make a hardline date that we can't guarantee a Christmas delivery by. Last year, I want to say it was December 10th or 11th, we said, we'd be able to make any orders by then to get there, but we actually crushed it last year. We were able to make people who were ordering into the 15th or 16th were still able to get their stuff by Christmas.
Awesome.
Which we were pretty happy about.
Heck yeah, and I'm sure your customers were too. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of Talking Lead, and I just really want to thank Tim for taking the time. This is going to be another long-ass show. So, Tim, how can everybody get in touch with you guys? I know you got Facebook, you got YouTube, you got Instagram, you got the website. Give all that out.
Okay, we've got the Tactical Walls on Instagram. We've got Tactical Walls on YouTube, Tactical Walls on Facebook. TacticalWalls.com is the website.
So basically, they just Google Tactical Walls, and they're going to find all your stuff.
We should be able to. Yeah, we own it, I think.
Think you own that one?
I think we got that pretty good.
Yeah, and then, of course, we're going to be making posts on our Facebook page, and they'll have links to Tactical Walls and all their stuff there, too. All right, guys. Also want to thank our other sponsors. Our new sponsor, Nordic Components. Make sure you go check out Nordic Components and use the Talking Lead discount code there. And everybody I'm giving you is going to have the same discount code, guys. It's Leadhead, all caps, all one word. And you're going to get 7% discount on Nordic Components. Primic, make sure you go there and use the 15% discount code. Dipstick, go to Dip123, go to their website there and get 10% off all your hydro dipping needs except the tubs. If you guys use these codes and they don't work, let me know. But all these codes are going to be active for a while now. So make sure you go and support our sponsors. The Sonoran Desert Institute, SDI, go there. I don't have a discount code set up for them yet, but we're working on that. Get your distance learning gunsmithing on with the Sonoran Desert Institute. I want to thank Casey for being on the show today. Mission 22, you guys have heard me talk about Mission 22. They were there at the Trijicon Challenge with us. The awareness for the veteran suicide rate in this country is what their mission is to bring awareness. You don't get change unless people are aware, and we need to get the word out. So make sure you go to Mission 22, support those guys, buy a t-shirt, buy a hat, buy koozies. They've got all kinds of cool swag there. And anytime you see the number 22 anywhere, take a picture of it, take a selfie with it, post it to their page on Instagram, Facebook, and do hashtag MI22ION. We want to put an end to veteran suicide. One veteran suicide a day is too many, but 22 is just completely unacceptable. The group over at Sheepdog Impact Assistance, Sheepdog IA, these guys are doing tremendous things in our community, helping in these disaster recovery areas. I know they just recently were down in South Carolina with the flooding. They get former military, former law enforcement, fire department, EMS, people together, and they organize these groups to go down and help with these disaster recovery missions. Even if you're a civilian, you can still help out with this. They have programs that would be available for you. So if you want to donate your time, obviously money is a big thing. Go to sheepdogia.com and help support those guys as well. I want to thank Apex Triggers for hooking me up with their Glock Action Enhancement Trigger. Inserted that in my Glock 23. Got some introductory videos for that Casey and I shot while we were up at Rock Castle. Hopefully those turned out good. I haven't had a chance to even look at them. Also want to thank the guys at NeoMag for sending me one of their pocket magazine holders. It's a little magnetic device that I'm testing out right now. that your magazine will stick to because it's magnetic, but then it clips to your pocket. Like you insert your knife, you'd put that in your pocket and you'd have your magazine at ready. So I'm going to test that out and see how that works, but so far so good. Neomag, Neomag, check those guys out. Guys at Keltec, Chad, Enos, give those guys some love. Still testing out that Keltec Sub 2000, as you guys know. All right, Tim, great show. Again, thank you so much for being on. Looking forward to doing more with you guys in the future. We got to get Chris on here, man.
Chris is a he likes to stay quiet and chill. He's not real big on the guy in front of the camera, or he doesn't like to be the voice, I don't think. He likes to have a nice private.
He has done very well on the times that I've had him on camera. And you've been in the background kind of being Where's Waldo, like poking your head around corners and stuff in the videos.
Yeah.
I was always like, who is that guy? What is he doing?
I'm an attention whore. He's not. We found out it was his birthday here earlier this week. Last week?
Uh-huh.
Last week, maybe. It was his birthday, and they were going to lunch, and they said, hey, we're taking Chris out to lunch for his birthday. Do you want to come? It's just a local Italian place. And, I was wearing jeans and a polo shirt or something. I'm like, yeah, I'll be right over. And I just, at that point, decided I'm going to wear a tuxedo. So
you didn't.
So I literally showed up at this, just local Italian place. Everyone else is there. I show up in a tuxedo for his birthday. I was going to walk in singing, some really fake Italian song, whoa, W, whatever. And I gave him 2 kisses on the cheek, but no one took photos of it. We forgot to take a photo. But I got a photo of me in a tuxedo back at work later.
All right, Leadheads, as always, keep your loved ones close.
And your firearms closer. And a tactical wall, preferably.
And use your Leadhead discount code and get 7% off.
Stay away from John Wilkes Booth, that son of a bitch.
Especially when he's with Bill Murray drinking.
Yeah.
Happy trees. Paint your clouds. They're happy clouds.